Jai. I'm interviewing my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, Chris Boles, and he is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach here at Team Anaconda. So I was wondering, why did you become a coach or choose to do that?
Well, it wasn't really what I set out to do. I just wanted to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, joined a school up near Newcastle. I was living pretty close to the school, and I got a job in Sydney. Moved to the Central Coast with my family, started travelling to Sydney to work, and then I was travelling back to Newcastle to train, and it just got too much as far as travelling goes. So I'd been training for about 3 years, so I just decided to buy some mats, and a few people locally that I knew, we just started training at a local hall, and we went from there. Yeah, I was the most senior person, so I was the coach. Yep.
How long, what was it, when was that, when did it start, coaching?
So I guess if you go even further back, I did sort of almost 15 years of Taekwondo before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and maybe 12, 13 years ago I opened a Taekwondo school, so I was teaching it for a while before I left the Hunter Valley where I was living. So I was doing some coaching back then, and I was a senior instructor there, and so it wasn't strange to be able to teach people what I knew. So I had that sort of teaching bug and a little bit of ability in getting people to understand what I was trying to teach them, what I was trying to show them, and so yeah, it was. It's not something that I think is natural altogether. Like, I think you have to learn to teach, learn to coach. So I've been coaching here for 5 years, so I'm hopefully starting to get the hang of it. Yeah.
So what do you personally enjoy about coaching?
Well, especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's a very personal martial art. So you can't train by yourself. You have to have a training partner. And you're in each other's personal space from the first night, so you become quite close to your training partners, and you get to know them personally, know their sort of private situations and whatever, and so that's, I like getting to know the students, having that close relationship, and I can tailor individual skills to people then. I don't walk in and with a room full of 15 people say, just show some techniques and then leave them with it. I like to go around the room and say, okay, well, a little bit of personal coaching for each person, just to make sure the technique might not work for that body shape, so we might just adjust it a little bit and tailor it to each individual. So I like that side of it. I also like seeing people come in without the skills and really quickly pick up the skills, and it makes a big difference in all parts of their life, not just in their martial arts, but I like seeing people sort of grow on the mat and off the mat, so that's what I like.
So what methods do you use when teaching teaching techniques?
Yeah, so people learn differently. Some people are visual, some people need to hear it described, some people have to feel themselves do it. Some people will learn more when someone does a technique on them. So some people might say, oh, I need you to do that technique on me so I can feel it, understand what's happening. So generally, I'm sure you've noticed this in the class, but generally I'll break something down. I like to string a few moves together that make sense. An entry, a takedown, pass the guard, get to a position, do a submission. We'll do each individual part of that separately, and then we might string the first two bits together, and then we'll string 1, 2 and 3, and by the end of it we might have the 6 parts of that.
So it's like a system.
And generally what I'm thinking is, I want you to know the first one. If it's a takedown, I'll say, let's do a takedown, a guard pass, mount, and a submission. But we'll start at the takedown, and then we'll do the takedown and then the pass, then we'll do the takedown, the pass, the mount, and without you even realising it, you did the takedown 50 times, which is what I actually wanted you to really get out of the lesson. But if I had just walked in and said, let's do that takedown 50 times, everyone would be super bored and it wouldn't make sense to anyone. So I'll generally, my thought is, I will demonstrate the technique a few times. I'll give you a partner and say, okay, I'll talk you through it. We're going to do that together, step by step. We do this bit, we do it all together. And then I'll say, go nuts. I'll leave you 30 seconds, 60 seconds, do a few each way. I'll demonstrate it again with a bit more detail. So you're probably noticing this now, but that's actually what's happening. I'll say, now you've felt it and you've done that move a few times, I'm going to add some technical stuff that'll make it work properly, like maybe the grips here. If I had showed you all that detail at the start, your head would have just been spinning. So this is what it looks like. Do it, do it, do it. Add more detail. Do it, do it, do it. Go nuts. Switch partners. Do it again. Switch partners. Do it again. And hopefully by then you've understood it and you've done enough reps to get it in.
So, as a coach, how much do you value safety?
Oh, it's huge. For us, our rules, number 1 is culture, number 2 is culture, number 3 is hygiene, and all of those are about safety. So culture is, how we look after each other. If we have good culture and we're looking after each other on the mat, we're not, going hard and trying to hurt each other, whatever. We're looking out for other groups on the mat. We're not bashing into each other. That's why we all face the same way. We say, get your partner, face your partner. We all face the same way. We're all dropping our partner if we're doing takedowns in the one direction. It has to be structured. You can't just have people falling all over the place because that's when you have issues. So we make sure every new student that comes in, we will give them their first class. We'll sit them down after class and go through the rules about sparring, about looking after each other. All those safety sort of rules. And safety is also about, the whole hygiene side of it. It's, you're wrestling, there's heaps of sweat, you're in close contact. Having all the rules about, we clean the mats every night, we disinfect everything. Shoes on the mat, shoes in the toilet, bare feet on the mat, no shoes on the mat, no bare feet in the toilet. So all of that comes into the whole safety side of it. We're not professional athletes. We've all got school and jobs to go to, so it's important that everyone gets out of here in one piece and goes back to their family to do their job or go to school or whatever, and that's the most important thing.
So does some of that fall under the code of conduct type
Exactly,
thing?
yeah. And you might have heard me speak about that too when we talk about injury is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to injure someone. We should be able to have no injuries, 0 injuries, if things are done properly. And our whole code of conduct comes from, it built our culture, the way I want people to behave, built our culture, it made our culture, which now us senior guys, make sure that people coming in understand what's expected of them. And then everyone's happy, everyone talks about Team Anaconda and about how when they walk in here it's not like any other place they've been to, and that's because culture is number 1 and number 2. Yep.
So do you have anyone that assists you with your coaching?
Yeah, so I've got my own coach, so Elvis Sinisic is my coach. He's in Sydney, so I get down there and train as much as I can. As you know, he comes up here a few times a year. And then we've also got 2 assistants coaching here. So we've got Tori doing the MMA and no-gi grappling, and we've got Bobby who also helps out with kids' classes. So there's 3 of us coaches. And then we've also got senior guys that step in when we need to if someone's away. So we've got a group of probably 6 all up, high colour belts that you'd say is the leadership team. They're responsible for the culture, looking after new people, teaching the classes, and that sort of stuff.
And last question, what is your favourite part of coaching?
My favourite part of coaching is, as I said before, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's like magic. People don't understand how effective it is till you feel it. You can't describe it in words to someone. People will say, well, what's Jiu-Jitsu? You can't tell them, you have to show them, they have to feel it, they have to feel helpless while someone 30 kilos lighter than them just does what they want with them. And those skills can be so easily learnt and so quickly learnt. If someone comes here for 2 months, they'll have skills that will make them look like a superhero among normal people. And I think it's wrong that people don't know these skills. They should be taught in school. If I wanted someone to leave high school with a set of skills, it should be skills that you need to survive in the world, which is reading, writing, counting, swimming, CPR, driving, self-defense, looking after yourself physically. The thing about Jiu-Jitsu is if you have the confidence to look after yourself physically, you're more likely to stand up for yourself. You're more likely to put your hand up in class and answer questions. You're more likely to go for that job, to look that person in your eye when you're having the interview. You're more confident because you're not intimidated by people because they're loud or they're big or whatever, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big they are or how loud they are. Jiu-Jitsu is the equaliser. And I love watching people come in here without that skill and walking out after a couple of months with it. Like yourself, I know if you never came to another class, I'm confident you've got the skills to go through the rest of your life.
I'll keep going.
Yeah, I'm confident that if someone can come here for a couple of months even, it'll change them for the better, and that's what I really like seeing. People come in here. A lot of people come in, they have all these different reasons why they come to train. It could be, and you can never assume or take for granted why someone comes into a facility like this and says, I'm interested in doing a class. They could have been bashed, robbed, picked on at school, they just want to lose weight, they've seen something on TV, there's all these reasons they want to come to try this. But in the end, if they're here after 2 months, it's because it's fun. If it's not fun, they're not going to repeat it, they're not going to make it part of their weekly routine. So the reason that I enjoy it is because I like the people, I love what we're doing, and it's heaps of fun.
Thank you for this.
No problem.